So I'm here with Mick Hatten from the Rink Live, and Mick, you know, tomorrow night's matchup, we got two teams who are so experienced, lots of depth on both of their rosters, and it's all really going to come down to who wants it more. What do you expect to see tomorrow night?
Well, I mean, I think the big thing that you expect out of these two teams is that it's going to be really physical and it's going to be a really close game. I think I looked it up. I think it's 3 of the last 4 games have been 1-goal games. So I'm expecting it's going to be tight, and it's going to be little things that kind of decide this game. Both teams have shown that they're teams that can come from behind. So I mean, it's a fascinating matchup in a lot of ways.
And the Huskies, they're coming off of their second NCHC championship win. What did you like about their play at the X this past weekend?
I think one of the big things I liked about them, in the game against North Dakota was their resilience. I mean, they had not played particularly well up at North Dakota when they played North Dakota. They came from behind, which is tough to do against North Dakota. They came from behind and ended up winning that game in overtime, and they just played really, really sound, I thought, on Saturday in the championship game. And and getting a shutout for Jackson Castor was wonderful to see, and he's been really good here in the last 3 games for them, winning, getting them all the way to the championship game. So that's. Anytime you get good goaltending, that's a good sign going into an NCAA tournament.
And Jackson Castor, he's just been an absolute brick this season for the Huskies. Kind of a different Jackson Castor that we saw last year. What have you seen in his game, and how have you seen it really develop and flourish this season?
I think the big thing with him is, more confidence in what he's doing. I think when you watch him now, you always get the impression that, he's got it. If he can get there, if he get to the spot or whatever, that he's going to handle the puck. And, he got put into a really tough situation last season, with not playing in over about a month, going into the playoffs and then having to go in and start in the playoffs after David Renick went out. So it's shown his resiliency, shown his mental toughness. I think that's the big thing with Jackson Castor.
Exactly, and Minnesota State, they just were crowned champions in the CCHA. They have the Mason Cup now, but for them, they really had to win the whole thing to even get here. The Huskies, though, they kind of were already guaranteed a spot coming into the NCAAs.
Yep, with Minnesota State, there's you talk about resiliency with St. Cloud State. Minnesota State was down 2 goals with less than 3 minutes left to go in regulation against Northern Michigan. Scored 2 goals at that time and then won in overtime to get here. So there's a real backbone to this team. They've been to the last 2 Frozen Fours. So experience can't be underplayed at this time of the season.
And Brett Larson, head coach of the Huskies, he's been the heart, the helm of the Huskies. He's been at the top of the leadership for the past 5 years now. And every year that there's been an NCAA tournament, the Huskies have made it. What does that say about him?
Well, I think that's what people expected, I guess, when he came in, because he was coming out of a tremendous program in Minnesota Duluth, and they had won the national title the year before, actually the 2 years before that. So I don't think anybody's surprised that he's kind of carried that over into St. Cloud State. And one of the big things that he talked about when he took over the position was that he wasn't taking over a program that was in bad shape. He said he wanted to make sure that he took him up to another level, and he's really done that.
Well, thank you, Mick. It was a pleasure. We got the Huskies and the Minnesota State Mavericks right here at the Shields Arena in Fargo tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central on ESPNU.